So again, here are some of the topics. What happened today, and I'll go over a couple of examples. What happened today, story-based edutainment, the controversial email. Those would be under the episode style of email. Under the epiphany style of email, you have ideas, some inspirational story, enlightening or thought-provoking message. You can challenge existing dogmas or beliefs, so you can go directly against what someone believes, and again, that will get them to open based on curiosity. And then the straight-up educational style, these tend to be the 20% of content, are the checklists, how-to, Q&A, and frequently asked questions. Now, to give credit where credit's due, this is Russell Brunson's creation, and he's one of the best marketers out there. And again, this is exactly how he monetizes his list. So when people who have $100 million companies are using this stuff, do you think it works? Yes. All right. So again, let me show you a couple of examples because I know you're probably thinking, what happened today? What does that mean? How do I write an email based on what happened today? And how do I tie it in? How do I do it in a way that's entertaining and gives value, but also makes a sale? Is that kind of right? Yeah. All right. So here's a couple of examples I've used, and these are the subject lines, and I'm going to go ahead and expand after I tell you the subject line, and the subject lines might crack you up. So, number one, she's not the only one. Now, this is one I was actually just trying to get my girlfriend to open. Because she's on my email list, and she hadn't been opening for a while. I can track engagement, and it was pissing me off. And so I said, all right, Anitra's going to open this email. And I typed out, she's not the only one. And she opened. It worked. My email list engagement went up. But no, essentially, what I talked about in this email is I was at the pharmacy one morning picking up a prescription. I was sick at the time. And there was a lady who barged in. And, she was 3 people behind me in line. And she barged to the front of the line. She was yelling at the people at the pharmacy. And the only thing she cared about was her. She didn't have any clue that anything was going on beyond just her. The only thing she cared about was her needs at that time, and getting those needs that she had at those times solved right then and right there. That was the only thing she cared about. So what I did is I created a little email. So again, you always have to be in the frame of mind where this is a story that I can use in my marketing. You have to be looking for stories, and you have to actively be coming from the frame of mind of how can I work this into my marketing, because then they'll start to appear everywhere. But essentially, I wrote an email where it was talking about the fact that, again, this lady barged in. The only thing she cared about was her. And then I tied in the fact that, guess what? Your leads and your prospects, they're exactly the same. Your leads and your prospects don't care about you. Your leads and your prospects care about one thing and one thing only. They care about them. And if you can figure out how to give that lead and that prospect what they want at that point in time when they want it, guess what's going to happen? They're going to convert into a sale. And then I said, and hey, the good news is I teach you exactly how to do that right here in this $1 trial profit boosting bootcamp. Click here to get started right now to learn the A to Z marketing strategies that I use to build my multi-million-dollar business. So do you see how, again, I got them to open with curiosity. From there, I engaged with a quick little story. The story illustrates the value of the actual lesson. Then from there, I tie in an offer. And again, it just allows people to tune out for a minute, get a little chuckle, and again, tune into Misha for a few minutes. Does that make sense? Number 2, push-button softwares and flying unicorns. Again, this got really good open rate. Now, who can, guess what I was writing about in this email? Exactly, people who wanted to hit the easy button. So essentially what I did is I wrote about an experience I had with a customer who I couldn't get to do any work. I couldn't get to actually commit. I couldn't get her to do anything. And she was only looking for that thing that if she paid, even, $10, $15, $20,000, she would pay her way to being rich, right? And it doesn't really work that way. As appealing and attractive as it sounds, and as some marketers frame their offers in that way, it doesn't really work that way. So what I did is I wrote an email about that experience. I then scorned that bad behavior, talked about, not wanting to deal with those clients, and then I went ahead and said, hey, if you want to learn the real way to build a sustainable online business without the overwhelm, without the confusion, and without it taking 5 years of your life, like so many people deal with, click here to get started. So again, just a very quick little story. These would be perfect examples of what happened today. Does that make sense? Number 3, cat fights at the grocery store and $1 million marketing lessons. Who here opened this one? This got really good response with the list. So, trying to bring myself back to when I wrote that email. I believe what I talked about in this email, yeah, I remember. So I was at Foodland, one of the little grocery stores on Maui. I was at Foodland doing my thing, grabbing a drink, and the lady in front of me was trying to check out, and the lady at the cash register actually had a voucher for her that would get her like $20 off, right? And even though it was a really good deal, even though it would instantly save her $20, the lady at the cash register just kind of pushed it on her and just said, here, take this. And didn't really clearly say, hey, would you like to receive a $20 discount just for giving us your name and email address? There was no communication in that manner. It was just, here, take it, and pushed it on her really hard. And based on her pushing it to her really hard, the person resisted it, and based on that resistance, there ended up being a little cat fight in the grocery store. And by the time the whole thing was said and done, the lady had called the manager had come down. I believe she ended up getting the $20 discount, and the other lady was moved to a different cash register, and it was just this whole fiasco. When the lady who was at the cash register was trying to save the other lady $20, but instead of allowing herself to do that, she tried to push it upon her, so the lady resisted. So I wrote a funny little email about the experience, and then the lesson of the email was, look, if you try to push your products and services upon other people, guess what's going to happen? They're going to try to run away. Then what do you think the hook was? If you want to learn how you can become the hunted instead of the hunter, if you want to learn how you can generate leads, build an email list, and leverage a sales funnel that works for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, click here to get started now with the Super Affiliate Network. So again, bringing them into my world for a couple of minutes, a little edutainment, and then another hook and push to my offer. 4, this one works every single time I send it. I think about you in the shower. If you got an email saying, I think about you in the shower, would your head kind of tilt a little bit? Who here's opened that email? Right? That email has made me thousands of dollars. All right? Now, what did I talk about in this email? I talked about the fact that usually when you have hot water running over your head, you get the best ideas for the next thing in your business. You can come up with daily email content. You can come up with daily blog post content, whatever it may be. Essentially, I told a story, which is true. Never tell fake stories. But I told a story where a client asked me, how do I come up with blog post content? And I said that, I think about you in the shower. Where I get my best ideas on a daily basis is usually when I'm in the shower, because studies have shown that hot water actually running over your head creates more creativity, and if you're actively engaged and aware of looking out for ideas when you're in the shower, again, you'll get better ideas. So I sent that email out to my list, amazing open rates, amazing click-through rates, and it made a couple $1,000s, and it was about probably a 450 to 500 word email, right? Now again, who would be a little bit hesitant about sending that to your list? Anybody? Couple honest people, all right. So one of the things about email marketing is you kind of want to keep your list on their toes. So you don't want them, the cardinal number one sin, and this is worth writing down, like a couple of things I've told you, the cardinal number one sin in marketing that you can commit. Any guesses? Being boring. If you're boring, people tune you out, all right? So again, I want to keep my email list on my toes. I want to keep them always engaged, always kind of thinking about what might be coming next, and always kind of a little bit, I don't know whether I love Misha or hate Misha. It's right in there somewhere, right? Kind of unsure about who I am, but again, they're always opening, they're always engaging, they're always clicking. And then lastly, soft porn and cold brews on a Sunday. So who here would open that subject line? Be like, what is Misha writing about now? Is he confessing? What is going on? Keep your minds out of the toilet, all right? So essentially what I wrote about in this email is me watching football and me watching a Patriots game and me just essentially seeing that every single commercial was either for a GoDaddy web address, which was the GoDaddy commercial with the girls, right? The Carl's Jr. burger commercial with the Carl's Jr. girl. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. I don't know how they got that one approved. Or a beer commercial. Those are like the three ones I saw. So it was either women in almost nothing or cold beer. Those were the two things that were really being sold, right? The women were selling products and services, but they were using it as a means to go ahead and sell. And what I talked about in that email was the simple fact that, again, what do these people know? These people have a very close, they have an affinity for the people who they're marketing to. They're very aware of exactly how the people who are watching football on a daily basis think, their target market. And based on that fact, they can put up certain ads that even though they're a little bit edgy, they're perfectly tailored for their target market. And as a result, they get them to open, or it gets them to respond, right? And then again, just like with all the other emails, I tied in a quick little sales message telling people to go ahead and click here to get started with the Super Affiliate Network if they want to learn how they can do the same. Now, by a show of hands, I want to make sure people are paying attention. Would you have opened these emails if you got them? Yes? Okay. Now again, an opener is much more responsive than a non-opener. A clicker is much more responsive than a non-clicker. Every single small action step someone takes is increasing the responsiveness of that prospect. So just getting someone to open an email is increasing the response. Just getting someone to click is increasing the response. Just getting someone to click on a daily basis is massively increasing the response. The people who are opening and clicking on a daily basis are the people who you can send emails to the most often and who are going to buy the most often and then who will continue to buy moving forward down the road. All right, so always focus on firstly entertaining your audience and then secondly selling your products and services to your audience. Does that make sense? Awesome.